Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 6, I guess. Thank you for joining us again. This morning, we're going to get started with our Eco Summit 2020. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on our camera feeds for a couple minutes here. So Scott and Father Iggy, if you want to, put on your camera face, and we'll let all of these wonderful folks see what we look like on Saturday morning.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning. All right. I will kick things off just by starting by saying thanks for joining us for our first ever Eco Summit. It's brought to you by the Care for Creation Ministry from St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church in Triangle, Virginia. Welcome to day 6 of this week-long online event. It's been a great week. We've had some fantastic presenters talking to us about really some incredibly important topics. There are actually a few of you I've seen in the chat that have been with us every step of the way. And for that, we truly give you our heartfelt thanks. For those of you who haven't been able to watch all the webinars live as they happened, no worries. As I said, if you are registered for this series, you'll have access to the webinar replays. And those replays, if you're registered and you can go to the Webinar Ninja service that we use, those replays actually include the chat as well. So you'll be able to read everything if you want to, because there were some good suggestions and comments in the chat as well. If you didn't happen to register for the entire online series, don't worry about that either. We're going to be posting everything to YouTube. You'll be able to watch the recordings there, and those links you'll actually be able to share, and anyone will be able to watch them. As I explained yesterday, I've been referring to this as our first ever Eco Summit instead of the first annual Eco Summit because we weren't sure how well it would go. We didn't want to call it the first annual Eco Summit and then never actually do one again. So in a moment here, I'm going to put a poll question down there asking you about it. It's not there yet. I will get it up here shortly. And once I do, I will point it out to you and you'll be able to go down there and answer the question. And the question will be, should we make some version of this online Eco Summit an annual event? As I've mentioned before, if you've joined us on previous days, this online summit was created as a way for us to celebrate both the 50th anniversary of Earth Day and the 5th anniversary of Pope Francis's encyclical on the environment, Laudato Si, on care for our common home. I'm Brandon Jubar, the Director of Youth Ministry at St. Francis, and I'll be your host once again for this morning's Eco Product Roundtable. Now, most of us buy the same products out of habit. I know I do. My family does, and we tend to simply go through the motions at the store. And even though we might try to recycle all of our single-use items, that's just not enough anymore. So this morning, we're going to spend some time talking about how to be much more environmentally friendly when you're shopping for those non-durable household goods and to try to do it without breaking the bank. So we'd like to, as Scott said, make this more of a roundtable, right? Not just purely a presentation, us talking at you. Obviously, we can't see you on camera. We can't hear your voices, but you can communicate with us through the questions and in the chat. So if you have questions, put them in the question box below the webinar that you're watching. And if you have comments, ideas, suggestions, talk about eco products that you're using, put those in the chat if you would, and we will talk about those. We will give you a shout out and we'll make sure that everyone sees those. My co-host today, as ever, and the main presenter for this morning's webinar is the one, the only, the legend in his own mind. The legend in his own time, Scott Deane. Scott, good morning,
Hi, everybody.
Scott. Scott he's a life science teacher for Prince William County Schools, where he runs a green club for middle school students, and he's a member of the Prince William County Schools sustainability team. Scott has taught in Virginia for 26 years. Outside of school, he's a member of the Electric Vehicle Association of Greater Washington, D.C., and he co-chairs our St. Francis Care for Creation Committee. That's the team who brought this Eco Summit together. Scott will be helping me monitor the chat a bit, but most of his focus today will actually be presenting and talking about the ideas that you're sharing and then sharing a lot of his own. So I will spend more of my time actually monitoring the chat, watching the questions. He will sort of be taking the lead on this. One final co-host / presenter with us today, that is our very own Father Ignatius Harding, affectionately known to us as Father Iggy. So, Father Iggy, you have a very interesting background. So, if you don't mind, I'll just turn it over to you if you want to do a quick intro, let the folks know who you are and what your stake is in all of this ecological stuff that we're talking about.
Perhaps my most important vocational comment is that I'm a Franciscan priest working in my life in integral ecology to become a minor brother, and brother with our brothers and sisters, and brother with all of creation. So I'm very happy to be here, and my message to the world these days is peace and goodness and abundant health for all. That's our prayer, and that's what we'll try to create as we work together to make this creation community a community of goodness for all. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate having you here. And thank you for, Scott and I thank you for all of your support. I know you were a driving force behind helping us get this Eco Summit together.
Absolutely.
So, Scott, with that, I will kill our camera feeds here for the time being. You can pull up your slides and start the presentation.
All right. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you again for joining us on this Memorial Day weekend. Our topic today is eco-friendly products. So again, this is a roundtable discussion. So as I'm talking, I'm going to be sharing with you today the term. We're going to start talking about eco-friendly. What does that exactly mean? And then we're going to talk a little bit about organizations out there that might help you find eco-friendly products. And then I'm going to finish my part by talking a little bit about some products I've found and I use around the house currently or in the past. And we, again, would love to share some of your products and things that you're using. And again, if you feel you have a question, you can put it down in the question area below the presentation. You can also use the chat, or you can share your products that you're very fond of in the chat as well. So I was going to start off today with talking a little bit about eco-friendly. So eco-friendly means not environmentally harmful. I think most people would probably agree that was the intent of the meaning of the word. The word actually came around in the 1980s, so it hasn't really been around that long. And eco-friendly is kind of a word I guess I would use when I describe, things I try to buy. I try to buy things that are eco-friendly. But what I might mean by eco-friendly may not mean what other people might mean by eco-friendly. It's a bit of an ambiguous term. And companies have used the word eco-friendly sometimes to promote products that really may not be very eco-friendly. There's a term out for that. It's called greenwashing or green sheen, where companies were really interested in making money and capitalizing on people by calling something eco-friendly. So there's another term out there. It's a little more recent. It came around in 2016. You may not be familiar with it, but it's called net green. Net green, I think, might be a better term. I came across an article in the Stanford Social Innovation Review. That's a magazine that tries to tackle a lot of global problems out there. They're a nonprofit organization, and they came up with the term net green in an article, "There's no such thing as a green product." And when I saw the article, I thought, no such thing as a green product? That sounded kind of strange. I think there are green products out there. But I was reading the article, the author brought up a pretty good point. He said that green basically can be misleading because it fails to really take into consideration the people who are buying the product. And he went on to give a few examples. He went on to talk a little bit about cars. We've had a talk earlier this week on electric cars, and some of our listeners have electric cars. I actually have an electric car myself. But before I had an electric car, I used to have a Prius. And before that, I had like a Nissan Sentra, and I've had various other cars. And I've always been interested in getting pretty good gas mileage. I would try to find cars that got good gas mileage. But if the idea of being green, if I bought a car that say got better gas mileage, I might say, well, yeah, I'm a green person. I'm doing what's good for the environment. But if I decide because I'm getting better gas mileage that I'm going to drive more, or maybe I decide that I'm going to move farther from where I work and I end up putting more carbon emissions into the atmosphere, then what am I doing? Am I really doing something green? So what the article went on to say was we should look at our net green impact on the environment. What's our overall effect on the environment? And you have to consider, they said, a product when you're purchasing something, what is it like to produce that product? What's the effect on the environment when they produce the product? What's the effect on the environment when you use the product? And what's the effect on the environment after its use? How long is it going to be around? So again, that's called net green. So again, this talk is the eco-friendly roundtable, but I want you to consider that term maybe and not just use eco-friendly, because that can be a little bit vague on what we exactly mean by eco-friendly. So because there were companies out there and they were in the 80s and they were trying to promote green, and a lot of them were green, but some were not, some organizations arose to help people determine what do we mean by green. So I want to share with you guys a couple organizations, and I certainly don't want you to think that these are the only organizations out there. I found in my research there are so many organizations, we probably would not have enough time to go over all of them. But I want to share a couple with you. One of the earlier ones that came out in the 80s was Green Seal. A product to be considered a Green Seal product is a product that's good for your health, your human health. It has a reduced environmental impact. And Green Seal pretty much dealt with schools, government agencies, businesses, and institutions. So I can't say when I've been out shopping for products, I've seen Green Seal on any products I bought. It could have been there. Maybe I didn't see it. But maybe the school that I work at, they might have some products that are Green Seal certified. Another group that's out there is it's called Design for the Environment. And this group is put out by the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. This is for laundry detergents, household cleaners, floor care products. So again, they're trying to find products, again, that have a lesser impact on the environment. I actually have seen this on some laundry products that I have bought in the past. The next one I have up here is Energy Star. Energy Star is, I think, most people familiar with Energy Star. Basically, we're looking at home appliances. That's usually where I find it. Electronics, computers, lighting, HVAC systems. So again, if something's energy efficient, it's going to get an Energy Star rating. WaterSense has to do with your shower heads. You can also find this on certain products. I've gone down to Lowe's and Home Depot, and I've seen some products marked with WaterSense. So again, it's going to be your faucets, your toilets, things that tend to promote conservation of water. It'll save you a little money. So some organizations are good also for helping animals. The two I have at the top of the slide there, Animal Welfare and Certified Humane, are two organizations that help animals. My oldest daughter, actually, who's listening today, had pointed me out to Certified Humane only a few months ago when she came here for a visit. And again, these organizations are going to be interested in caring for animals in the meat, poultry, dairy industries. So again, if you see Certified Humane, they're not allowed to keep animals such as chickens in those little cages that I have pictured there. Again, they're going to treat the animals with more dignity and respect. Down below that, we have Leaping Bunny. Leaping Bunny is for cosmetic items. Cosmetic items in the sense that anything that has to do with personal care products, household cleaning products, pet grooming. They're looking for the humane treatment of animals. So again, it's actually put together by 8 national animal protection groups. These are also nonprofit organizations, and they kind of monitor these companies to make sure we're treating our animals ethically. The Marine Stewardship Council is going to look at fish and seafood. They're looking for wild, traceable, sustainable products. This is going to be given to fisheries. And they're using science-based set of requirements for sustainable fishing. All right, one of our Care for Creation members, Teresa Varner, had shown me Global Canopy. And Global Canopy is another organization that is going to be very helpful as far as animal goes. So we're looking now at forests, we're talking about forests. So Global Canopy, what they do is they are looking at companies and they are going to rate them. They use something called the Forest 500, which is actually another website that they sponsor, where they rank companies. You can look up companies and financial institutions, and you can see what is their impact on the environment. Are they promoting deforestation? And they have these rankings that list different categories to see how they're doing. A similar organization out there is the Forest Stewardship Council. They're a little older. They've been around for about 25 years. They're basically trying to make sure that products that are made from our forests are responsibly managed. And they have some economical, social, and environmental benefits when they're created. Rainforest Alliance. Rainforest Alliance, you will get a green logo that you see there on products like coffee, tea, chocolate, fruit juice, wood and paper products. They're basically looking to conserve our biodiversity in our rainforests. A lot of our rainforests now are being destroyed at an alarming rate. So they're trying to promote the implementation of globally respected sustainable standards. So again, this is the Rainforest Alliance. And if you find this label on a product, it's better for the environment than if you didn't find one. All right. I had a couple more organizations listed, people interested in organic products. USDA Organic regulates the organics industry. Organics, again, you could do your own talk on organics, but basically they're trying to create standards for a farm or any wild crop harvesting, any company basically that wants to sell organically produced products. There's a certain set of guidelines that they produce, and you can look them up on their website. 350 is a climate organization. I actually got to participate with my family in a climate march down in Washington, D.C. a couple of years ago. And they were founded by a group of university friends back in 2008. And they are mainly concerned with global warming. Their goal is to build a global climate movement. And they do things every year. If you look at their website, there's always things that they're working on. The number 350 comes from the amount of carbon dioxide that's considered safe in the atmosphere. It's a goal to reduce our levels to that number. Good Housekeeping, a lot of people are familiar with their magazine, I'm sure, but they also have Good Housekeeping Green. They will review products, appliances, electronics, food, paints, and they are looking for sustainable products that are going to help reduce the confusion of green when a company says they're green. So again, you can use them to help you figure out if what you're buying is green. Fair trade certified is found on coffee, tea, chocolate, honey, clothing, nuts and grains, personal care products. They're interested in trying to create a more equitable global trade model. And this is for farmers, workers, consumer, the industry, and also to help the earth. So they are non-political, and again, they're interested in helping out the workers. I have down here on my slide, if you have some favorite organizations that I didn't mention, again, there are many, many organizations out there. Feel free to put them down in the chat. I see a couple people are starting to do that now. That's fantastic. If you have any websites and you want to share that again, we would love to hear that. And perhaps at the end of the session, after we're done with this, we can gather up maybe a list of resources for people that they can use in addition to this slideshow. Okay, so I'm going to tackle a couple ecological problems. And again, I'm not going to hit every ecological problem this morning. Far too many, unfortunately, that the Earth is dealing with now. But I'm going to hit some of the big ones. And I'm going to look at some products that you might want to take a look at. These are products, again, around my house that I've used or used in the past. I by no means am saying that these are the only products out there. So again, if you have some products you'd like to share in our roundtable, feel free to put them down in the chat and share them with the group. So one problem we have here is plastics. We know that plastics are everywhere, right? We're going to find them in our house, office, our school. And unfortunately, a lot of these plastics get in places where we don't want them to go. And one of those places is the ocean. So the World Wildlife Fund has put up a graphic here showing how long it takes plastics to fully biodegrade. And you can see some of these items, even if they're single-use items, that straw that you had in your Coke over at Burger King, that's going to be around for 200 years. And we probably only used it for just a few minutes. So again, we want to be thinking about this. We want to kind of educate ourselves about, do we really need that straw? Do we really want to use that straw? Do we want to use some of these items that are up here? So I had mentioned before that plastics a lot of times will get into the ocean. They get in there a lot of ways. Sometimes it's litter on the ground will find its way into streams, which find its way into rivers, find its way into the bay, locally here in Washington, D.C. area, and then out into the ocean. So you end up with this plastic getting in the ocean from the land. You get it out there from boats like fishing nets. And this causes a lot of problems, right? We have a lot of animals out there that get caught up into it. And the currents in the ocean will carry this pollution out into these areas. I believe they're called gyres, and they are like big whirlpools, and they pull this plastic into them. You might be familiar with the Pacific Ocean garbage patch. It's this very large area, at least as big as Texas, and it's full of plastic that is slowly breaking down from the wind, the waves, and the sun. And these plastics, when they get really, really, really small, can be ingested by animals. And if we have plastics in our animals, when we catch fish and things like that, those plastics can get into our body. And it's really unclear what the chemicals in the plastics are going to be doing to these animals and even to humans who eat these animals. I have a slide here showing a microplastic. That's what they're called when they're broken down. The microplastic, to be considered a microplastic, has to be 5 millimeters or less. It's probably something that we wouldn't even notice if you went to the ocean and you're out there swimming around. Little bits of plastic are all around us, and we might not even realize it. And it's not just the Pacific Ocean that has these big garbage patches. There's actually 2 in the Pacific Ocean, There's 2 in the Atlantic Ocean, and there's even 1 in the Indian Ocean. So none of our oceans are unscathed by these plastics. So we're going to take a look now at maybe some solutions to some of these plastics. They're trying something new now. And one thing they're trying to make plastic now that biodegrade a lot quicker and are not made from harmful chemicals. I'm talking about plastics made from plants. A lot of times they're made from potato starches. And I have a few of these products around my house. The bio bag, and what I've done here, I should point out, is I've told you, if I was able to find it, I told you what store I bought it at. So again, I'm in the Northern Virginia area, just south of Washington, D.C., but some of these stores might be in your area. And if you can't find the store in your area, most likely there's a similar store in your area that might carry it. So the bio bags are great for food scraps. And the idea behind this plastic is that if you put biodegradable things in it, you could actually take it to a composting center that can handle compostable stuff. I'm going to talk about compostables a little later. And it would actually biodegrade right back down into the earth, soil. So that's the idea behind these bags. Now, if you take a bio bag and you take it out to a landfill and bury it in a landfill, landfills are capped off with a cap that prevents water. They're not always hospitable to bags that are going to biodegrade. So they may biodegrade, but they may not biodegrade as quickly. But they do, I will say that they are made from plants rather than chemicals, and they do eventually break down. I believe on most of these products, you have to use them within a certain month's time. You want to read the box, because after a while, they start to get a little bit soft. So again, you can put regular trash in a bio bag, but if it's taken to a landfill, it just, again, it's going to maybe not biodegrade as quickly because a landfill is not always a great place to biodegrade. Poop bags, they're dog poop bags. I see Jim uses those. I use them with our dogs. If you want to be putting them in a truly compostable facility, though, you have to find one that actually can handle pet waste. Not all compost facilities handle pet waste. So you might have to check with your locality if you actually want to use it in a compostable way. The third thing I have up there is something called BioLine. BioLine is used for electric trimmers. So I have an electric trimmer I use out in my yard after I cut the grass. And it had occurred to me that every time my trimmer would break off and I would, tap it and it would send more line out, all those little bits of plastic were building up in my yard over the years. And those bits of plastic aren't going to go away for hundreds of years. So I found this BioLine. It's made by a company called Laser, and you can find it online. And again, it will break down once it reaches the soil. Something else I've purchased recently is from, we have an organic market here called Mom's. And this is called compostable utensils. And I'm sure you can find these in other stores, but these will eventually break down into soil again. And they're 100% compostable. So again, these are just some ideas of maybe one idea, instead of using plastic and in certain ways, is to use compostable plastics that can break down. Another idea with plastic I have is that we could use alternatives to plastic. One idea is to look for things that are not packaged in plastic. The bottle at the bottom there is made by Seventh Generation. Seventh Generation makes a lot of eco-friendly products, and they're found pretty much in all types of stores. This one I found over at Mom's Organic Market, but for $12.99, it'll do 66 loads. But that bottle is not a plastic bottle. It's actually a paper bottle. It's one of the few times I've seen these paper bottles, but these paper bottles will break down and they can be compostable. So I kind of thought I'd share that. My wife recently, about a year ago, got me some lunch bags. I had been putting my lunches in these Tupperware containers, which are made from plastic. But as we know, plastic sometimes can contain harmful chemicals. Some are got something called BPA. Um, again, not something you want to have. So we tried something called silicon. Silicon, instead of being made from chemicals, is made from silica, which is an earth mineral. And there's kind of some good things about silicon, and then there's some not so perfect things about silicon. I would say they're a step in the right direction, but they have some drawbacks. I've included 2 links here. The one is to read a little bit about silicon and what this company called Earth Hero sells. It's super durable. You can freeze it. You can cook in it. It's just very strong. It's very flexible, unlike plastic. If you need room in your cupboard and you want to fold it up and stick it in there, you can do that. But silicon has some drawbacks in the sense that it doesn't biodegrade. It can be burned, and if it's burned, it actually is sent back to like a non-toxic form. However, then you're burning things, and that's producing pollution. But again, I think it's a step in the right direction. I kind of like the silicon. We use something else here called Drops. Drops is a laundry detergent, and you can get this on their website. And what basically Drops is laundry detergent pods, and they are fully they dissolve in the wash. There's no plastic in the packaging. It comes in a little cardboard box. You can get discounts if you sign up and become a member, and then you can use these. They come in the mail every so often. But the clothes smell great. They're all plant-based cleaners. There's no chemicals that are harmful. The company's got a really nice mission statement. So again, that's Drops Laundry Detergent. You can find them online. My wife is using another thing here, shampoo. It usually comes in plastic bottles, and conditioner. You can actually get shampoo and conditioner in bars. You may not know this, but it's super concentrated shampoo. And you can basically use it to wash your hair. And it's about $13, will last you about 60 days, about 60 washings. And I have the website there. So again, things to, again, avoid plastic is maybe to reduce using plastic. And then one of the last things I have here is, there we go, is to reuse things. The old recycling motto, reduce, reuse, recycle. Reusing things can be a great thing. Shopping bags. And I know, Brandon, you remember the church, St. Francis, we made some Care for Creation and Youth Ministry reusable bags a couple years ago.
Yep. Yeah. We ended, if you recall, we didn't end up going with the cloth bags. They were a bit more expensive than we can afford, but we managed to get bags that were made from fully recycled materials. Yes, they're cool. Yep.
Yeah, they're great. I use them all the time, and I'm real happy to see them. There's another thing you can do is in the supermarket, they have those plastic bags for your produce, but you can get reusable produce bags. You can find them online. Good Housekeeping, remember the Green Seal? They actually list 7 or 8 reusable produce bags, and you can order them, and they're as little as $4.99, as much as $15. Some of them are made from recycled plastics, like the ones I have pictured here are actually made from plastic water bottles that have been recycled, but they also have some that are not plastic at all. So again, you can decide, what kind of bag you want to get. One of the other things I have pictured here is a flour tortilla bag, and I'm a big fan of reusing plastic. If I can't avoid getting plastic, I like to use plastic again. My wife can probably attest that I've got all sorts of plastic bags and containers around here, and I use them for other purposes. So once the flour tortillas are done, you can use a Ziploc bag for leftovers, or you can use them to store your paintbrushes in, or you can always find another use for things. And bread bags, I use those again too. So again, just instead of a single use and throw it away, maybe we can reuse these things again and again. Another option too is to just don't take plastic. One store in the area here we have is Aldi's. I'm a big fan of Aldi's. When you go to Aldi's, they don't have bags, and you can actually just take a box in the store. What they do is when they open up a bunch of spaghetti boxes, they come in a bigger box, and they take those boxes and they throw them in a bin, and the shoppers come in and they can just grab a box. So nobody's bringing in a bag, and then you put your groceries in the box and you go back to your car and you put it back in the car and recycle the box when you get home. So it's just a win-win for the environment, less packaging, no plastic, just a good idea in my opinion. Okay, I'm going to get off of the water topic, or sorry, the plastic topic, and get into water. Water conservation I wanted to talk about briefly, and maybe just an idea of trying to find products maybe that are less harsh on our sewer system, because don't forget that all the water we're using is going down the drain, ending up back in eventually our rivers and lakes and ocean. One product I'm real fond of around the house here is Zep. Zep is a drain cleaner. It's full of enzymes. So instead of harsh chemicals to clean your pipes, these are little microorganisms that will eat the soap scum, and they will eat the grease and the hair down in your drains. And you clean your pipes once a month, and these bacteria will be doing all sorts of work in there, and they will keep your pipes from clogging up. So now, if your pipes are completely clogged, you can actually use this several times. You can use it within a day or two, several times, and the directions are on the bottle. And again, it will tell you about getting rid of a immediate clog and what you can do. But it's really meant for just keeping your pipes, good maintenance, keeping things clear. Low flow shower valves I have in the center there. Some are on shower heads, but the one at the top is not. So you can pick the shower head you want. But these valves, what you can do is you can actually attach them onto the pipe just above the shower head. And when you're washing, a lot of times when you're lathering up and you're soaping up in the shower, you really don't need the water on. You know, you're already wet and you want to soap up. You can actually turn that black knob on there and it will slow the water down to a trickle. So you're not using water, you soap up, then you turn the knob again, the shower is already warm, it comes back on out of your shower head, and you can rinse off. And you can save a tremendous amount of water by doing that. The last thing I have pictured there is using rain barrels. I have a garden, like I had mentioned at the beginning of the show, out in the yard, and I try as much as I can to water my plants around the yard using rain barrels. One of my rain barrels is actually an old plastic case that the owner of this house left here previously, and I was going to throw it away. It's very large, but I realized that I could probably reuse it again, and I turned it into a rain barrel. So again, you know, containers that hold water and stuff like that, very helpful for keeping our water use low. I see Marilyn mentioned that she uses baking soda and vinegar, and that also keeps her pipes nice and clean. That's great. Probably keeps them smelling good too. Another topic I wanted to touch on is climate. So reducing the carbon footprint. So I think of the organization 350, and that's very near and dear to my heart. I'm an owner, I've told you before, of an electric car. I have a Kia Soul. That's a picture of a car like mine at the front there at the top. I also own a lawnmower pictured here. This is an electric lawnmower. Mine is a Sunjoe, but there's many other types out there. Brandon, you had an electric mower, isn't that right?
Yes, we do. And I do not recall the the brand name off the top of my head.
I know when you go to Lowe's and Home Depot and a lot of those places, you can find them online. One nice thing Brandon and I were talking about the other day is a lot of times in these batteries, you buy the battery for your lawnmower. That battery can be used for other tools. For Sunjoe, things like leaf blowers and chainsaws, they have electric versions of them. You're just putting the same battery in them. So again, there's no emissions with that. So again, using some electric tools, electric lawnmower, and maybe even looking at an electric car could be a good way to reduce your carbon footprint. But even simple things like, not driving until when you have to, carpooling, taking public transit, walking, biking. These are all ways to improve our carbon footprint and have less impact on the environment.
Yes, Scott, Mike Hathaway mentioned the Ego Electric, which is those lawnmowers. Those are the ones that, if you recall, Ron Goldenbaugh was talking to the two of us about the other day. The Ego.
Remind me about the Ego Electric.
Ego Electric, E-G-O. Those are the ones. They've got lawnmowers and yard tools, and they've got different size battery packs, different power battery packs, but they can all be used on all the different tool sets. So
that's fantastic. And that's something you can get just at the local store, I believe, if I remember right.
According to Ron, he said I thought he said either Home Depot or Lowe's.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. We also have one more thing I have up here, and although the biggest source of carbon is usually power plants and cars, agriculture does have an impact on the climate, especially with the gas methane. A lot of manure builds up on a lot of these farms, and it produces a lot of methane. And methane is actually 25 times more powerful as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. So trying to reduce the methane coming out from these kind of places would be a good thing. So one thing I've tried to do is eat a little less meat. So I'm not a vegetarian necessarily, but I do a lot of vegetarian meals. I found a lot of companies and a lot of places that I really like. Corn is one of them. I think their chicken nuggets, which aren't really chicken, are fantastic. Aldi's has several different types of burgers there you can find. They have chicken patties. They have the crumbles, which I have pictured here. Again, you can find these. Wegmans, I'll give a shout out to Wegmans. Wegmans has an entire aisle dedicated to meatless products. So they have a really great variety over at Wegmans. So if you have a Wegmans near you, and Safeway, again, has a lot of nice things in their store as well, especially the product Open Nature. All right, so animal welfare, again, I had mentioned that before, certified humane. And again, I'll give credit to my daughter for this, Katie. We use the cage-free eggs at Aldi's. They are costing a little more, but I feel a lot better about getting these eggs because of the way I've seen chickens treated and some of the news that I've caught in the past. We talked about forests. A lot of our forests are cut down for a lot of reasons, agriculture, palm oil. There's all sorts of products out there that accelerate deforestation. I try to find products that maybe don't use any paper other than recycled paper. So you can find all sorts of paper products, from toilet paper to napkins to tissues. And at Safeway now, I'm seeing the company Open Nature is now promoting bamboo products. The idea that bamboo reach a lot less time to maturity than paper products from trees do. And that might be something to look into as well. So again, these are different products out there for paper. So organic waste is kind of where I'm going now. Organic waste is going to be a problem when we're throwing away our food, throwing away grass clippings, throwing away brush. In Prince William County, where our church is located, 30% of the waste is organic, according to their website. So they recently constructed a composting facility up in Prince William County. And I have not been to this facility, but I've heard really good things about it. They can produce compost, I believe, in under 200 days, if I remember the website correctly. And then they sell this back to the public. Any methane gas that's produced there is captured and they use it for heat and power operations. And some of the compost they keep and they grow food and they sell the food. So it's quite a facility. I think I might be taking my students there on a field trip next year for my green club. But again, if you live in an area, you should look into seeing if you have a composting facility in your area, or you can start your own compost pile in your own backyard. And Alita Daniels, we had earlier this week, talked a little bit about that. All right, so we have some plugs here I see for bamboo from Linda Parker. Said you can make tons of stuff out of bamboo, bamboo fabric, very efficient plant. Jim Bundy was talking about using paper products, and he's got a website here for us. And it says that 50% of the profits donated will help build toilets in developing countries. Very good. Well, this is going to wrap up my portion of the roundtable, and I'm going to turn this over now to Father Iggy. Father Iggy is going to be talking about Arcadia Power, as well as our organization Care for Creation and Legato Si. And again, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to put them down below in the chat or in the question area. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Father Iggy.
Good morning, everyone, once again. Peace and all goodness and abundant health for you and for all of our sisters and brothers of creation. We're about to report. We're bringing all of what we talked about earlier, all of the things we have to look to avoid and all the things that we can do to make a difference. And that's why we're here for this celebration of Laudato Si. Praise be to you, O God. That's the way Francis of Assisi's prayer began. That's the way Pope Francis began his wonderful encyclical to the world, not only to the church, to the world. It was probably, many have said, the most significant presentation for the Paris summit that caused and helped all the countries of the world to get together and to sign that first World Summit agreement. We're celebrating now the 5th anniversary of Laudato Si. And his encyclical letter on caring for the earth talks about what he calls and what we call now integral ecology. That's what we've been talking about this morning. That's what we've been talking about. That's what we're going to be talking about in the future. And his call was for an urgent appeal for action. And so that's what we attempt to do. We at St. Francis, our parish community, our Care for Creation, Care for the Poor community. We gather together and we attempt in our own way to make a difference in what's going on in the world. Care for creation, care for the poor. Integral ecology means that we put those two things together because we know that as creation is destroyed, the first ones affected, the first ones hurt are the poor. The ones most affected are the poor. So as a Care for Creation, Care for the Poor group at St. Francis of Assisi Parish Community in Triangle, we begin and we try to build ourselves a new way of looking at things in the world. We began a few years ago, we had a wonderful contest for someone to help us to build a Care for Creation symbol, a logo for our committee. And we are happy to celebrate Kathy Jelisovic, who came around and built us and created for us this beautiful symbol that we use now as our symbol for integral ecology, for the relationship of care for the creation and care for the poor. This beautiful logo is an artistic imagery that communicates our full-hearted commitment to Pope Francis' proposal for us to be an essential part, each one of us, of integral ecology. If you look at it carefully, the detail of it is very beautiful. On the left-hand side, we have a robust human worker caring for nature as maturing is taking place. And then we see that healthy, organic, green produce burst forth from all its branches to produce fruit. And those fruits are natural, mature fruits that come down to be harvested by and for especially the smaller, weaker poor. Integral ecology, care for all of creation and care for all of the poor. So we, in the Care for Creation, Care for the Poor Committee here at St. Francis, among other things, we work what we're talking about this morning. We try to promote composting, electric cars, climate change alternatives, and earth-friendly products. And now, let's talk about another thing, alternative renewable energy, like wind power. Wind power is a new alternative, and it can be very easily taken care of, can be very easily done by you and I. So we're going to tell you a little bit about some practical steps to take. Arcadia Power here in Virginia is a national company that's in our area, and it's trying to promote and generate more demand for complete, clean and renewable energy all over the United States. So if you're not in Virginia, there's still a possibility for Arcadia or some other company to do this service for you. But here in Virginia, they're a middleman. They work with Dominion Power Company, and they're able to assume 50% of your energy bill for alternative energy with no charge to you. They will pay 50% of your Dominion Power Company energy bill, and then you pay Arcadia Power the very same amount, so that you have no difference in your bill, but you're getting wind energy instead. Your other half, you pay to Dominion Power. For 50% of your energy, there's no charge at all whatsoever for this transfer to generate your wind energy alternative. After you sign up, Arcadia pays 50% of your bill within 3 to 6 days after the arrival of your monthly bill. And you don't have anything to do. It's all taken care of once you sign up. So let's talk about how it works, because we must wonder how it actually comes about. We all know that the main source of our energy is still being produced by coal, natural gas, biomass, hydro plants. A very tiny proportion of it is solar, and a little larger proportion is from wind energy. All these different sources are streamed into the national and regional power grids simultaneously, the ones where we get our electricity. In recent years, some national, regional, and even local governments to save environment and stop global warming are requiring power companies to use more and more alternative clean energy for their grids. However, once put into the grid, there's really no way of knowing or distinguishing from one source or another what is actually going on. It's as a result, they create, to do that, they create what they call RETs, which are renewable energy certificates. They're basically funds that finance small businesses to create or grow alternative energy sources and to put into the grid. So these companies, new and old, build new infrastructure to create more renewable energy to stream into the grid. It's financing these companies so that more and more clean energy goes into the universal or local grid. When 1 megawatt of renewable energy is created, that becomes the value of 1 RET, of what we call renewable energy certificates. And 1 RET, or 1 megawatt, is about enough energy for 1 whole house for 1 whole month. So basically, we're financing companies to put new clean and renewable energy into the grid and respecting our God-given Mother Earth, so it's a win-win. It's an easy thing to do, and there's not much difficulty. If you wish, you can also through the same system, transfer 100% of your energy consumption to wind through the same program. But this requires a slight fee of 1.5 cents per kilowatt hour. See the Arcadia information I'm going to talk about right now, which has an invitation to join on the next page. And so we're happy to announce ourselves that because of our conscientization of our parish, now St. Francis Parish, St. Francis Friary, St. Francis School have all joined. We're starting with this 50% free program. We're reviewing the 100% program, and we're also reviewing and working on what we call what we're going to do for solar energy. We've done all the previous studies, and we're getting ready to see about the financing of that project. So sisters and brothers, right here in Virginia, anyway, and in other places where Arcadia is, this is the invitation that they're giving us. We could go on and on, they say, about the benefits of clean energy, no fees and no changes to your utility. But the best part is you just complete your Arcadia account by the end of the month, and you even get a bonus of $15. So what do? It's right here on the webpage. 1, connect your Dominion Energy account. 2, pay your power bill through us. Once you connect your utility account, we'll start matching your usage with clean energy, says Arcadia. So it's our way of saying thanks for helping supporting these clean energy initiatives. So if you have any questions about Arcadia, about this program, you can go on the webpage, and they have a special agent who's called the Arcadia Member Experience Team, who has all your answers. So contact them at support@arcadia.com. We've done it. It's very easy. Once you sign up, there's hardly anything else to do. Many people, I was very surprised, have commented that they like this very much because they pay their electric bill by their credit card. And Arcadia does accept credit card and debit card payments too. So we talk about, let's do something, think about this, give it a try, and I think you'll all like it as we are finding ourselves. Peace and all good. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Iggy, for that information on Arcadia. For those of you who are interested in Arcadia too, if you go on their website, you can actually put in what your power company is, and they will let you know whether or not they participate. So I know, Paula, you wanted to know if Novec participates. You would need to go to the Arcadia website, and then you can put in the company that you have and see if they are going to be participating.
And do let us know if you do it. It's a sign of success of our Eco Summit. Thank you.
All right, at this time, I'm going to bring my final slide. And just a reminder, when you're buying something, try to think net green. Ask yourself, what is the product's impact on our environment totally, from its production to its use to its after use? So we just wanted to say thank you for listening today to us in the roundtable. And we really appreciate you guys who've been sharing information in the chat. Brandon, were there any questions or anything we need to address before we go?
Yeah, so actually, if you and Father Iggy don't mind, I'm going to pull our camera feeds back up.
Okay.
So we can make this a little more, make it actually look like a round table to the folks who are watching. Yeah, we do have some comments, and so there was both comments and I don't know that there were questions so much, but okay, yeah. So Mike, was it Mike Hathaway? Yeah, Mike Hathaway had a question about dishwashing. When you were talking about different detergents for laundry, have you found any dishwashing detergents that are eco-friendly or net green?
A lot of products that I look for are the ones that are plant-based. They're plant-based. I'm hearing from people that they can't hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. They said they can hear you, but I'm just going to check my microphone. I had it off, but I turned. Okay. So, okay, Paula says she can hear me. So I don't know. If you can't hear me, okay, other people say they can hear.
Okay.
But I look for plant-based products that are going to be biodegradable. So Seventh Generation promotes a lot of that. I have found it Safeway, a company, Open Nature, will also promote that as well. And they make dishwasher, laundry, dish detergent for your sink. If you do your dishes in the sink, you can find all those kind of products there.
All right. Mike also recommended, looks like Better Life products. They've got cleaners and soaps, net zero green products. He talks about AO, conservationist and energy efficient. Their cooler attics use Tech Shield, which is a foil in the underside of the sheets that inside the attics, which cools the attics by 25 to 30 degrees. So a lot of great ideas.
I wonder if Mike's done that, because it's funny, Mike mentioned, I was looking at that online the other day about the foil for your attic, because summer's coming, and I thought, the upstairs gets hot.
Yep.
And you're just going to use the air conditioner more. So if you could reflect some of that heat out, the idea would be to cool your attic, and you'll have a lower cooling bill and use less energy to cool your house.
Yep. Yeah, and just to let everybody know, I know there's a bunch of stuff that we've been trying to mention things as it popped up in the questions. We're trying to cover the rest of them now. There's a bunch of good things with ideas that people had in the chat. We will actually, Scott and I will go through all of the questions in the chat afterwards. And in the next week or so, we will try to pull all of your suggestions together, plus all of the information that Scott presented, and we'll put it into a downloadable PDF, and we'll send out the link to everybody. So you'll have all of this information that we presented. And we may do, I think, Scott, we should probably do a little bit of research on some of the questions or suggestions that people had.
Yeah, we might have to look some things up, and that's fine. We don't mind doing that, but we're happy to provide that for you guys.
Yeah, I think one important thing to point out is a lot of the products that Scott was showing today are ways of replacing what you're currently doing. And we're trying to acknowledge the fact that every little step helps. This is going to be a journey for us. And sometimes the easiest thing to do is, rather than dramatically changing what you're doing, if you can swap out better products. So you're not, ultimately we would encourage people to use less. I mean, I think the statistics I saw were that Americans, we consume like 100 times more of the world's resources than an average person in the world. So obviously we would want to reduce what we're using. But sometimes it's the quicker thing to do that can make an impact is to just swap out, stop buying the really bad product and buy the one that's better for the environment. And that's kind of what we're presenting today. We want to share a lot of different options.
Absolutely. I like Janet's suggestion about saving old clothes and textiles, mark them to be recycled, put them in the clothes collection bin. They will be turned into insulation and not go into the landfill. I never thought about the to be recycled. You would just write that, I guess, on the bag.
Yeah, we'll have to. Maybe we can check into that and make sure that we include directions on how to do that. I hadn't heard of that, but
I guess the Goodwill, or somebody might do. I'll have to ask that, because that would be a really wonderful thing to do. I have clothes that I use in the yard, and I'm painting with them, and they're getting old and they're ripped up, and no one's going to want them. I can't give them away. So to have them recycled is fantastic.
Yes, yeah, it's amazing the amount of clothing that people throw away, and yeah, when you look at the environmental costs of creating more and more clothing all the time, it's amazing. All right, let me see. I'm trying to see if there's anything that we missed. Like I said, there was some good comments along the way. I know I commented back on. Someone said they use the plastic containers that lunch meat comes in a lot of times now,
Yes.
Clean those out and save those and use those as Tupperware. We use them as our Tupperware containers for a lot of things. Or like in those times where we're not social distancing and we have people coming over for parties or get-togethers, we send leftovers home in those because we don't worry about getting them back. So,
Right.
yep, yeah, just reusing stuff like that can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
All right. One last thing I'll point out to everybody. Some of you have taken the poll. I did put the poll. It's a one-question poll up at the bottom there where you've got questions, and one of the tabs is polls. The question is, should we make some version of this online Eco Summit an annual event? The first answer, there's 3 choices. The first answer is, yes, this is fantastic. The second one is, it's been okay, but the jury's still out. And the third answer is, nah, once is enough. So if you wouldn't mind taking a quick moment to fill that out, that survey, it'll take you all of 3 or 4 seconds to do. Hopefully you've enjoyed this, but we're just trying to get a feel for whether or not some form of this Eco Summit would be worth presenting every year. And with that, I think, Father Iggy, any closing comments before I close us out for the day?
I think
Let's
you've.
put the peace and
Go ahead.
remember. Excuse me.
Go ahead, Father.
Oh, and remember that we're part of creation. It's our brotherhood and sisterhood. And so respecting one another and respecting creation in this world we live in today is very important. And as we grow through this coronavirus crisis, it will be a time for new relationships, for new brother and sister, for thinking not only of ourselves, but of everyone else around the world as the one family that we are, and caring and being interested, especially for those who are going to have some great needs in the very close future. So may the Lord bless us all with inspiration and give us the courage to live what we preach every day of our lives. Thank you very much for participating, and keep in touch with us with all of your ideas.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you. For those of you watching and participating with us live this morning, thank you so much for attending. You should be receiving an email with a link to the replay of this webinar, but we will also be uploading it to YouTube, as I've mentioned. Once that happens, the Care for Creation Committee will be sending you information on where to find it so that you can share this link to the recording with any family and friends who might be interested in watching what we discussed today. One final thing, please note that by registering for the webinar, you were automatically added to our St. Francis of Assisi Care for Creation email list. And please trust me, even though you've been getting lots of reminders about the webinars each day, we won't be bombarding you with email after the summit. And we try to make everything that we send out valuable and actionable. But if you really don't want to receive email from us, that's fine. There is an unsubscribe link in the footer of every email we send to that list. All you have to do is click the link, you'll be unsubscribed, and I promise you won't hear from us again. Thanks for attending. Don't miss tomorrow morning's webinar, Beyond Laudato Si, Franciscan Reflections on Where We Go From Here in Developing an Integral Ecology. As we celebrate this 5th anniversary of the promulgation of Pope Francis's encyclical letter, Laudato Si, we look not only to the document and the past, but also forward to see where we are invited to go in embracing the Church's teaching on creation and integral ecology. This presentation will pay particular attention to the ways we as a Franciscan community can draw from our rich resources in living Laudato Si now and in the years to come. Now, keep in mind that tomorrow's morning session will start at 11 a.m. So the ones earlier in the week were at 7 in the evening yesterday, and today we're at 10 a.m. Tomorrow's session is at 11 a.m. And Father Dan Horan will be doing the presenting for us. The wonderful speaker, very, very much involved in Laudato Si and very knowledgeable on it. So I think that'll be a wonderful presentation. That will bring this webinar to a close. I have been Brandon Jubar, your host this morning. One more shout out to Scott Deane and Father Iggy. Gentlemen, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for watching, spending time with us again today. Until tomorrow morning, we bid you adieu, and we thank you for caring for our common home. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.